Hello, Zarju. So the games that were announced for EWC's timer were League of Legends, Teamfight Tactics, and Valorant, which, man, I could have sworn those were already announced. Because I knew for sure they were there, but I think I did just assume, actually. It wasn't even like a rumor I heard. Oh, wait, no. You know, I did actually see a leaked image of the announced games. And one or two of them. One was not determined in this leaked image, and that might have been StarCraft, and the second one was supposed to be Valorant Woman, which obviously that got taken away, so there was technically 2 games that weren't announced, or that were uncertain, I should say. And that does remain the case. 17 days to go for 2 more games. Is EWC alone enough for StarCraft? No. But what is necessary at this point is just for them to say whether it is just that or not. So if it's only EWC, that's not a circuit, that's not good enough for a pro scene. But if they were like, hey, this is it, that's all you're getting, then we could again make moves forward to start building up community events or just letting people determine their future. I mean, the lack of information is just absolutely crazy. We got a fresh series here, so I should actually put on some bets for y'all. It's going to be in the top left of Whispers of Gold, Clement. And in the bottom right, we do have Showtime, who just took down Cure 2-0. And even though Cure did not look like the best version of Cure, to put it kindly, it's still a good sign for Showtime, who does seem to just be having a handle on this matchup. Post-patch, there was a lot of questions as to what would actually work and if it was a buff or a nerf and blah, 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 but Showtime did seem to pick up on what made it work, what is good about it. It doesn't really change, I think, the result against Clem that often, though. I don't think he's winning that much more against Clem than beforehand. Clem still mostly only having trouble against max packs. Last week, he did lose 2 games to Hero. But if I recall correctly, the 3 games that he won were pretty convincing. And it was like 2 games, lost versus Hero, one of which was fair, like a total like macro game. Clem like lost his lead, and then Hero did a really good job recovering. And then the second game, I want to say it was a little more of that tilt Clem, where you can tell he's just like really frustrated with himself and the matchup. But he brought it back for game 5 and won out in the end. So, I mean, Clem's not invulnerable on the TVP side, but generally only loses to max packs. Showtime, every once in a while, for the last 3 or 4 years, has just come out swinging, though, and has taken down Clem in a somewhat surprising manner. But we do have a factory all the way back here. Not suspicious, but what is noteworthy is that he did go for a non-Reaper opening, so Clem not going to have any scouting, but he did just do basically the greediest thing he could really do. Yeah, in this matchup, I'd say, well... Yeah, hey, I'd say that. One Wax expands into the 1/1/1, which isn't really greedy. That factory is a really important defensive tool, or it can be anyway if you actually use it. Not being used right now. But then no scouting, so you don't know what's happening, and then affording that bunker is that little cost that you wouldn't have to do sometimes in other openers. It is pretty worth it, especially if Showtime was choosing to be aggressive on the opener, which he throws out every now and again. But you do get these two technologies pretty fast. You get the reactor pretty fast. And the Hellion is going to be the first actual scout here. Showtime did go for a Stargate. Going to immediately charge up the Oracle so it has full DPS, full energy. I mean, those SCVs could be a little vulnerable here. Widowmine is not rallied to the main, but I believe that Hellion did just see the Oracle. That must be why the Marines are moving. Or no, they're moving to the medevac. Well, either way, whether it did or didn't, he does move into a good location, because that Oracle was about to have a freebie buffet on the SCV line. It does see the Widowmine, so should not be caught by that. A little dangerous. And now Clem, who would save that SCV. Oh, stop showing off. Stop it. Stop it. He's saving all the SCVs. Now knows. So whether or not he was actually going to go into a Viking before that Oracle is a question that only he could answer. But I would not be at all surprised if he decided to go for that Viking after seeing the Oracle. Again, it is a tool that can be used in any type of offensive maneuver because its anti-mechanical is pretty good. Oh, that's not very good for Clem. Gets his medevac caught in the middle of the road there by Stalkers. Nice moves by Showtime. Interrupting the medevac drop that he knew was on the way because of the Oracle Scout. Nicely done. However, that medevac might not be giving up totally, despite moving all the way back home. Does get the Hellion before the Marines drop out. Stasis Trap's going to be popped, but at that point might be a better time than losing his entire army to the Stasis Trap later on. But that medevac might have escaped back home after being caught. That's not going to be the end of the aggression. Showtime should also realize that, seeing the units in totality here. Saw the Vikings, saw the Cyclone, knew the medevac was going to potentially be out on the map again. There could be absolutely a push incoming. This tank could actually be going forward with this army. Showtime is trying to prepare for defense by being offensive. It's the best way to defend. And even though he doesn't have Blink, and that makes it a little sketch, obviously these Marines would be nowhere near Stim. And the scariest thing about this would be any medevac control. The tank is going to pop out, but at this point... sorry, tank already popped out. Second tank's going to pop out. I was going to say, at this point, if Showtime had not been so on the ball, maybe you do the push. But having the Protoss in your face already, Blink almost certainly done as well, even though it was after the Stargate. It should be the thing that's following up here. Like, there's no way that Clem's going to get across the map. Liberator does get across the map, though, and is going to find some decent damage. 2 probes plus some lost mining time. Nice micro to get out of there before the Stalkers can chase it down. Third CC is on the way for Clem. None of his aggressive openings have worked out here, and that is a little disappointing for, I guess, particularly a guy like Clem, but he still has his medevac, he still has his Liberator, even this Raven to come in for more harassment later down the line. Showtime is going to go Stalker charge, and a lot of charge lots at that. But this is going to be different than those games versus Cure. I mean, not only is it already different, just with the openers and whatnot, but we're also talking about... This is not a tank-reliant, scared Terran. Clem does play more of the defensive Terran, I think, nowadays, where he does just wait for his third CC to be totally saturated. He does wait for even sometimes maxed out scenarios before moving out, actually. That is the way he's been playing recently. Less about, hey, I immediately got 2 medevacs, let's just boost across the map and do something, right? But it's not scared, it's very controlled, it's wise. It's just a wise way to play. And the differences between that, I mean, could be very subtle. It could also just be me putting my feelings onto the Terran, that's true. But there's definitely a difference when you watch, like, a scared Terran and a defensive Terran, for sure. Showtime is going to take advantage of Clem's current setup, though, which is just trying to get this third CC down. So as long as Showtime has some decent knowledge of what Clem is doing, the Stasis Trap helping and the Oracle helping in general, and the Stalkers obviously being able to be microed, I mean, he is free to bully this, and then now he's going to bring up the rest of the charge lots here. He is going to go for a bit of a gut punch, but I do not see a Warp Prism on the field. Oh, there is one, but it's off to the left side. Going to go into the main base for a little distraction tactic. Clem should be very used to this, but I don't know. In other games, he would have had at least something over here to defend. He does not. Oracle coming on the natural, too, which that's what he's currently defending. Clem does have his own drop finally getting ready to go. He does blow past. There we go. He does control it to go into the Nexus at the third. But the army did not commit to the front. Seeing as Clem perhaps was totally just defending, did not see an opportunity to really abuse a two-pronged or even three-pronged attack. Decided to pull back, and well, I was going to say that might save a lot of probes, but 13 of them still went down. Just running and gunning through the base, target firing those probes. I was like, what was that sound? Is that the energy recharge? No, it was hallucination. He's hallucinating the probes. Showtime has been doing this. I do like it. You get different amounts of hallucinations based off what you build. And probes, it's 4. And that's just perfect for scouting. You can see almost every single attack path. Speaking of which, Clem is on the attack path. The Raven has an anti-armor missile out. Hit about a third of the army. No interference matrix for that Colossus, but one Colossus hardly makes the army. Clem mostly uninterrupted in his economy. Has just jumped ahead on the supply, dealing with the drop in the main as well. Things went from Showtime in control to Showtime potentially dying. That might actually be what's happening here, guys. Tanks not being taken down as fast as you would like. Zealots getting murdered on the front lines. Colossus still standing, and that might just be enough, but Showtime's supply, it's in the gutter, man. Stasis Trap does help out a little bit in the main. That's nice, but Liberator was also sieging up the help. This is just getting to be a little bit too much chaos. Thankfully, the probes are saved. The Marines will die, and the Liberator will be taken care of. Nothing else on the field happening currently. That Nexus is awfully low, though. Very, very scary. War Prism could be sniped unintentionally just by running into the units. Okay, it is saved. That's an important tool at this point. It's the only thing that shows any amount of doubt to Clem. You know, does he have to worry about that sneaking up behind him? But it's obviously on Showtime's side of the map, so it's not an immediate worry. Right now, it's Showtime worrying about that 4th base Nexus. Very low in health. All it's going to take is a little hit squad. There it is, indeed. Showtime not really able to split his army, though. I mean, you know, he sees like he should have split his army, but even if he did, I'm not sure he could have stopped that. Either way, he was in trouble because he is down 20 army supply. His upgrade did finish, giving him a temporary upgrade lead, but not one that really helped him. Now it's evened out. And Showtime is in a lot of trouble. Even losing some Zealots, so Widow Mines are left behind. Clem, it doesn't have a unlosable lead, but it would be up to him to throw this game at this point. There's not much that Showtime can do. A counterattack to try and take advantage of the limited number of Vikings is probably the best option. I was going to say, that can't be all of Clem's army. There comes the rest of it, expecting the attack in the main base. Here come the Vikings as well. Colossus, well, don't even die before Showtime taps out. GG's. Clem, he does take game 1. Very convincing as well. I mean, Showtime, I don't really think was doing anything wrong for the first 7 minutes, was it? I mean, his Oracle control was good. His defense of all the potential harassment options was great. He was trying to be, you know, on the offensive, was waiting for an opening if there was one, decided there wasn't, which I think he was right about that, and pulled back. But what probably happened, and I did not note, but I noted in the last series, was that, again, that attack that was being formed on the front lines probably came with a later 4th Nexus and a later saturation of probes. And versus Cure, it didn't matter because he just won as soon as he entered into Cure's 3rd base. But versus Clem, you know, you cut your economy to do the potential attack, and then you just are like, well, I guess I can't do that. That just puts you in an awkward position. I'm just going to go ahead and assume that happened, even though I wasn't catching that, just because of how poorly Showtime was set up after the fact. Not to mention that Colossus weren't really coming out as fast. He eventually got to 3, but obviously only 1 for that initial defense, where if he had not emphasized potential attack and all those Zealot warp-ins, he might have had a 2nd Colossus by then. Yeah. Clem not playing to the same beats as Cure, even though in some ways they were very similar games. Cure was trying to be aggressive. Showtime shut it down. Cure went for a couple more tanks, which I just really don't like. I'm a real tank hater in this matchup. 2 or 3 defend against a potential Blink Stalker aggression, of course. More than that, I don't know. I see them fail so often. In the bottom left of Amygdala, it is Clem. In the top right, it is Showtime. RTS or die. That is an extreme stance, but more power to you. Thank you for the Prime sub. Showtime not having near as fun of a time versus Clem as they did versus Cure. Clem is going to go for a factory expand on Amygdala. Showtime scouting around by the looks of things for... Oh, no, this actually is the way the map is built. I'm sorry. Yeah, rocks. Little Zerg gross things blocking the middle. This is the only way you can actually scout. And if you do kill the rocks, or these things... What do we call these things? The Zerg rocks, I guess? The Zerg rocks, sure. Then you have a faster path. But really not that much faster. Not until you actually mine out these golds. Tumas! These gigantic tumas. Is that what they are? Just really big tumors? They kind of look like tumors. We'll go with that. They're tumas. Reaper opening this time. Into the reactor. Showtime. Is he gonna be going Stargate again? I'm trying to think if it was, worth it or not to go at last game. I really didn't mind it. Although he should have gotten at least 3 SCV kills. Clem's micro and the convenient medevac placement really ruined that. And, well, that might have supposed to have blocked that. You could see Clem's clicks all around every which way. So that seems like a bug / Is this Reaper gonna die? No. Yes, it is gonna die. Yep, for sure. Anyways, you can see him clicking around eagerly, so that seems either like a bug or one of these StarCraft specific things. Like, if you hit just the right exact cursor point, then it'll jump up. Which is a bug / feature in sometimes. I don't know if Protoss hate it or like it, but the point is the Reaper got in, but then it died. Which is actually a little surprising. It also died before seeing what was going to be that technology option. So, does not know that it's Twilight Council. Might figure it out eventually. Multiple SCVs ready to build and get into that command center should they be targeted. Fortunately, 2 Adepts no longer two-shotting SCVs. 2 Adepts no longer one-shotting. There we go. Oh, the Hellion went down. With his last breath, he took down the Hellion. Good enough. But, yeah, back in my day, Adepts did two-shot SCVs, and it was freaking terrible. I also two-shot Marines. That was also tough. Anyways, Medevac's on the way now. Widowmine and Marines in tow. It's going to see the intention of a 3rd Nexus, so you can dispel the thoughts of potential 4-gate. It's going to go ahead and just collect the pylon and probably skedaddle. Blink will not be done. Even with this Twilight Council first, Blink would not be done until, I think, the earliest... Oh, shoot. Ah, right into the sockers we go. Uh-oh. I think the earliest you chrono it, like, multiple times would be 440 or something like that. That medevac did go down, though. I mean... Not the ideal situation for the Terran, of course, but considering the lost mining time, 4 probes, perhaps 5 probes, maybe even 6? Ow! No! Oh, I was like kind of doing some math in my head when it was only 2 probes killed in the lost mining time, but to make it 6? Ew, that was pretty worth the medevac kill, I think, actually. Not ideal, again, for the Terran, who wants to be flying around, zipping around, using it as a distraction, using it as a threat, but... Yeah, that was a lot of lost economy for Showtime. Good news is his 3rd was being built the entire time. And it was, one of the fastest 3rds you really get off of 2 gates here, but... Yeah. Congrats, Clarity. Stalker's going to try and whittle away at this potential move-outs. War Prism is here. Looks like Showtime has subscribed to the same Protoss magazine as Max Pax, although I just lost a Stalker. Which is that even if you 2-gate, a War Prism is still useful. That's definitely a choice. Definitely a choice. Whether you 3-gate or 2-gate, the War Prism's really a choice. Some Protoss don't do it, especially off a 2-gate. They won't get a War Prism at all. But Max Pax almost always does if he 2-gates, which is kind of rare for him. And I personally like it. As a Protoss Terran player hybrid, I know that as a Protoss, it's fun. And as a Terran, it's goddamn obnoxious. I hate when they get Warp Prisms. So I think it's really useful. Liberator, not going to find any success here. Good reaction from Showtime. He really does need to play about as perfectly as he can from here on out. Does not quite grab the Liberator, though. And now he's going to lose probes in the natural. Only one by the looks of it, though. So not bad once again, but more lost mining time. Clem just finding little bits of damage every which way we look. Giving him a 3-worker deficit, which is an economy lead, of course. Now, Showtime hasn't quite pumped out all the chronos into his probes. In fact, he's chronoing the charge. Okay. All right. Yeah, he definitely wants to go for the attack here. I think last game he wanted to go for the attack, decided it wasn't going to be worth it. I think this game he's just going to go ahead and punch it. Just going to maybe even hope that it works. But we'll see. It could just still be the wrong choice. Straight up the wrong choice, and then you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. But I think this time he might punch it. But I was going to say, yeah, it wasn't exactly the bullet skyrocketing up to 60 probes, mineral saturation on 3 bases that perhaps it could have been. Nonetheless, Clem has gotten all of these little chunks of economy, and he has had a lead in it. What, the entire game? Oh my god, look at these spikes. Ah! Showtime really going to need to find some damage, but I said he was going to commit, but no, he's not. He is not. He's getting his robotics bay. Grabbing an Immortal, sending the Warp Prism forward without the army. I don't know, man. I don't know. Is he grabbing a 4th base? No, he's sending out a probe for scouting. Okay, the 4th base on the other side of the map. Okay. I'm not sure where the 4th was ideal. I want to say this is farther away, but that, you know, just because the Terran would take this more triangular section. So I guess that's why I clicked it over there. But it's over on the right. So he does get it. But, I mean, after building his technology, fine. But then also after building a handful of zealots. Maybe it was the same time, honestly. His probe had to be sent over there after all. I don't know. It still kind of feels like... splitting the directive. They're not going full-on economy, full-on technology, or full-on army. Obviously getting a lot of both, which totally understandable because you also have to be afraid of Clem attacking you. Case in point. But it does mean that Showtime does not have any particular lead here. He's got no army lead, and he's got no economy lead. Although he does take care of this rather well. Tanks do get taken down, but at the cost of almost all the zealots. Stalker's starting to go down as well. Colossus late to the party, getting focus fired, and never mind, he did not take care of it. Okay, all right. Technically, he took care of this push, but the real technical aspect to it. Like, it did leave temporarily, but Showtime is absolutely 100% dead in this game. The zigs and the zags were perfect against Cure. Cure looked befuddled. Cure looked on the back foot. But they are not zigging and zagging against Clem here. Clem all over this. He's going to be able to end the game here with a 30 supply lead. Equal upgrades, equal economy too. 4th base even on the way for Clem. And ideally for the Protoss player, you're going to stay ahead a base, actually, which, you know, he does have a 4th up and the 4th still building. But it's just, I would say even, you know, a lot of the times in this matchup nowadays, it's more like a base and a half or 2 bases ahead of the Terran as you enter into the macro stages, I suppose, mid to late game. That would actually be more in line with what you would expect. And that's something that Showtime's trying to do, but knowing that he cannot save that 5th, he gets canceled at least. We got so many attacks being set up here, and Showtime thought the army was in the middle, so he went after it, but then, of course, it wasn't. It was up to the top, but then it's also over to the right side, and now everything's just all the shit. Pretty good reaction, considering he wasn't, he was kind of caught blindsided by both attacks, but... shield battery cannot be overcharged. That's a lot of Marauders in there. Stalker's zoopling forward to grab the Medivacs. Clem is forced to skedaddle. Clem partially rebuffed at both locations. The main base now under attack. The army did not truly leave, just redirected their attention. Medivac and the Natural is taken care of. Showtime still trying to expand while all of this is happening, which he's got to do. He really does. But it's so much track. And Showtime is bleeding out in every engagement. picking up and leaving as the Stalkers are clearly off to the right, unable to chase. Showtime, knowing that inevitably he will lose this game, taps out before the fireworks. And that is that for Showtime's winner bracket. He probably will try in the lower bracket. You know, he defeated Cure, and PvP versus Hero is a solid chance, so... And it's not dead of night for him, so he'll probably stick around. I think he's going to drop down to... Yeah, the upper bracket, the upper side of the lower bracket, excuse me. So he's facing either Jumi or Hero, and because it is PvP, best of one, you do have to consider that Jumi could win. Clem advances to the winner bracket finals, facing either Max Pax or Geralt, which again, PvP best of 3, but still, Geralt has a chance against Max Pax here. I don't think he wins, but there's a chance. So you're saying there's a chance. Jumi Hero. Just getting started by the looks of things. Looking around on the streams to see if anyone's covering Max Pax Geralt. Usually Indie covers the Polish guys. Yep, he's in it. Good guess, ZombieGrub. So Geralt Max Pax did just begin, literally just 2 minutes ago. Best of 3, game 1. Could either go down to the lower bracket. Or I could stay in the upper bracket. Both are kind of tempting, although the lower half of the lower bracket is either not updated or it's doing that lower bracket thing I was worried about. Babe Marine versus Littell X still happening. Then whoever wins that faces Trigger. Then whoever wins that faces Cure. Then whoever wins that faces Skillless. So that is pretty far back. Yep, I'm gonna put on some music as we wait for whatever game to be hosted. Need to put on different music. You have gambling regret? No regrets. Gonna let you guys check out the cat for a while I BRB. So we are into the lobby of Max Pax versus Geralt. I do not know who won, but I will look as soon as we get into the game on Indy's channel. And he will tell us. In the top right of Amygdala, it is Geralt, and on the bottom left, it is Max Pax. Change scenes, Indy. Change it. Change it. Do it. Indy's taking forever. I don't know who won. I could assume. But it seems mean. Okay, I was correct. Because I was looking... Darn it, because I was looking at the stream. I just missed them talking in chat. All right, I'm a doofus. All right, so Max Pax is up 1-0. That's not very surprising, even though PvP can be... I don't think anyone really calls it a coin flip anymore, to be fair, but it can be erratic. Max Pax is the one who... as always, really, since he first made his way onto the scene. Maybe not quite first made his way. I mean, that was back when he was just Max Paxing and BCQD had to highlight him on his channel. But as soon as Max Pax was in maybe regionals, let's say that, I'm sure. Like, that was pretty much when he started to dominate PvP. And sometimes upwards to even 90% win records or something like that. It's crazy. So he's the one that even if it was a coin flip, he proved that it wasn't. He'd be the Jaedong of PvP. And now it's not really coin flippy anymore, I would say. He still is the one who is the most difficult to beat. Not impossible, but very difficult. And not many other people can replicate it too, which makes it extra infuriating. It's not like... And at this point too, it's not like you can just try to copy him. As far as the macro stages go, just be like, oh, I'm just doing the exact same thing that you do, which isn't terribly aggressive in the early game. And let's see if I can win out in the macro game. That might have worked 5 years ago, 6 years ago at this point, something along those lines. But not... Max Pax has also been the best in mid and late game PvP for a while at this point. So it's very, very difficult to figure out what exactly you need to do to defeat this guy or throw this guy off. 4 years ago, Roddy said probably the best way to do it was to convince him you were macroing and then actually be attacking, which is a whole feat in and of itself. But even that seems to not work as much anymore. Geralt does delay the Nexus as long as he possibly can with his probe, but now it's got a skedaddle. Max Pax, not unfamiliar with this problem, knows that, okay, I'm going to throw it on the Stargate instead, get my units out, blah, blah, blah. I think he did scout that it was a 2-gate from Geralt. And Geralt's 2 Stalkers so far, but he is grabbing a Nexus. He wants to find out this Adept, which he will. I shouldn't be able to kill it, though. And he will block the main as well. Not much else for the Adept to do but shade away at this point. And the Stargate is the go-to. Just makes the most sense. So Geralt is prepping for defenses of a Stargate. Shield battery in the main. The second shield battery was the block. So obviously it's going to be canceled, but the one in the main is going to cover him. So that he can focus almost entirely on the offense or defensive offense, whatever you want to call it. He took out the Stalker, the Adept, and he will be prepared for Max Pax's Stalker. Shield battery in the natural might seem a little preemptive. And of course, you still need to worry about a stasis trap. That's still 5 probes caught in it. A little unfortunate for Geralt. But, right, the natural might seem pretty quick. There's no probes over there as of yet, but Geralt's army is still on the front, making sure that Max Pax doesn't get any true distractions, I suppose, where he's waving his hand in front of your natural's face and then goes into the main with his actual right hook, right? Unfortunately, that still happens. 2 oracles blasted the shield battery as Geralt is focused elsewhere, having his units elsewhere. And that might have been all it took for Max Pax to even decide to build that second oracle, by the way. You know, he sees Geralt trying to get ahead of any aggression on the front, which it would have been light aggression, but it still would have existed. We've seen Max Packs move out with limited units, but then grab this sentry, for instance. But as soon as Max Pact realizes that's the style that Geralt wants to play here, 2 Oracles, you need Stalkers in the main to defend against that. And that's one thing Geralt was not doing, was leaving Stalkers at his home base. So that little tip-off, that little change-up, if he wasn't already intending to grab 2 Oracles anyway, it's already given Max Pax an incredible lead. He's ahead by 6 workers now. Blink faster than Geralt's. Even though Geralt did not go into a Stargate, he did build quite a few ground units. And that did take up a lot of his gas as well. Maybe it would have gone into a Twilight Council. So he's behind in Blink by a good 30 seconds too. I would say ideally if you face yourself, if you're Twilight Council, the guy's Stargate, then Twilight Council, you could maybe like a 10 to 15, 20 second lead actually. Which still doesn't sound as much as it should be, but that's typically how it goes. And that could lead to something at the third base if you're really tight in the attack, sure. But now you're behind by 30 seconds? I mean, what is going well for Geralt at this point? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. He's got 3 sentries. And that might be enough with the Guardian Shield to helping out to defend the natural. But maybe not. Hallucinations, very obvious. The AI does get tricked by them, so Max Pax does have to focus fire, but they're already done away with. And the sentries all lost their lives. Not exactly in the ideal position to take that fight. They're on the front, easily sniped. Pylon goes down, no shield back to 3rd. Now, this isn't a committed attack by Max Pax in any way, shape, or form, so he will eventually be beat out by defender's advantage, but this means the Oracles are going to go ahead and fly into the main base, of which there are no Stalkers. More probes going down here. 1 Oracle will die. Good focus fire from Geralt. But 7 more probes going down. Now puts him down by about 15. 3rd Nexus is done for Max Pax. Geralt's still building. I don't know how many other ways I can say that Max Pax is really, really, really ahead. Geralt did have a great PvP run so far. As Mike points out in chat. 2-0 skillless, 2-1 hero. That's great. That's cool, but now getting kind of smacked around by good old Max Pax here. And it's like a little bit of a miracle for Geralt to bring this back. Especially since we don't really have the Disruptor miracles like we once did many years ago. Oh boy, this could be game ending. If Geralt had tapped out at that point, I would not have blamed him. Geralt not want to tap out too quickly, though. In fact, he sometimes stays a little late, so he will try his best, but he did not get a shield battery at that 3rd, meaning Max Pax is going to see that and he'll go, oh, no. Because he has more Stalkers, although not now. I think Geralt does outmatch him on the front anyway, but he has healthier Stalkers, so. And now he does have more Stalkers. Reinforcing from all the way back home, but it's still reinforcing. It does mean the shield battery gets time to finish, but it's only 1 shield battery that will be depleted of energy fairly soon. Can be re-energized. Oh, whoa, look at the stasis drop, man. It looks like Geralt pulled his army back in, his probes back in too quickly, is what happened here. That is almost every single probe. Whoo! Yikes. 1 Oracle is still doing an amazing job hitting the economy. Yeah, he almost certainly shift-clicked them. Oh, I had it happen again! 1 probe was supposed to pop it, but it didn't. Yeah. And that's going to be game over. War Prism on the front lines. Especially game over. Geralt's probably feeling quite good about his PvP. Until this point. He even says pain. I love it. That's exactly what I was thinking. And he says it. Pain. It's just so different facing Max Pax. It's truly incredible. How far ahead he is as a Protoss player. It's undeniable. You know, like I'm all for, as I said earlier already, I think to really determine balance and bests, I really do prefer having premier offline tournaments. But the more that we don't have those, and the more that Max Pax faces every pro gamer and wins against them, the more it's really undeniable that he's just better than every other Protoss. I'm laughing at Geralt's pain. Geralt knows I love him. So that does mean, guys, surprise, surprise, it's going to be Clem versus Max Pax in the upper bracket finals. That is just a best of 3, and it is not the finals. The finals. Finally, the bracket updated, so Trigger beat Bay Marine and is now facing Cure. Showtime versus Hero is happening as well. All best of 1s down there. We'll stick with the Clem Max Pax Classic. Although I feel like there's got to be another word. Classic, I feel like, always means something that happens a decent amount of time for a long period of time, but doesn't mean literally every single time. You know what I mean? And it's very close to being almost every single time. Last week was the odd man out. Max Pax did not sign up, but whenever he does, it's always Clem versus Max Pax. How they aren't just tired of each other. I'll never know. Time for more cats. Oh, wow. They made those lobbies real quick. They should just agree to play the same maps as well every single time. That's probably what they're already doing. Okie dokie then. We got ourselves a best of 3. I'm 90% sure about that. In the top right, it is Max Pax. In the bottom left, it is Clem. Well, the thing is that, you know, and this isn't exactly a good sign, but still. A lot of the times, even though it's a best of 3, well, yeah, a lot of times best of 3s will be the exact same maps over and over and over again. Maybe one is different, but for so many map pools at this point, there will be 3 heavily preferred maps as far as the balance goes. Both races going, yep, that's fine. Okay, I guess. And then a lot of the other ones not being balanced, or just it's the most normal one. And for, by and large, pro gamers are going to play on the normal ones, because that's what they practice. So it really does make vetoes sometimes feel a little unnecessary, especially if they drag out for a long time just because people are slow to respond. And yeah, your best of 5s is a little more variance because they have to pick more maps, and so they're going to have to pick one map that's a little less good, and then another map that's a little less good could also maybe be, you know, but so often it's the same. I personally don't have a good grasp on what those are for this map pool right now, because I've been, whoa, not casting as much, but wow, this is a response. Huh. So an engineering bay block. Yep, that sucks. That did happen. Clem was able to get there right before MaxPax blocked his block. Almost lost his probe, too. But then, instead of going for the triangle third, which is what you would usually do, he goes for the fifth in some cases, I want to say. You know, taking this base is supposed to be scarier. So the Rich Vespian Geyser, by the way, also blocked by minerals on this map. 150 minerals, too, not just a couple of probe rounds. So, you know, but it could give you a Rich Vespian Geyser. And so there should be something to take away from the bonus. There should be a little bit of risk to it. And in this case, just having the low ground so accessible, almost all Terran units can shoot up and hit these probes because they're all ranged, except the SCV. Tanks, obviously, being a potential problem right here. But MaxPax is like, whatever, man, I want to take it. Whatever, man, I don't follow your rules. Alright, fine. Yeah, totally. See how that works out. Clem, pretty happy probably with the start, because he knows that he messed up his opponent. He knows that MaxPax was very close to stopping him from messing up, so MaxPax was clearly intent on not letting that happen. That probe was very close. And instead, it missed its chance. So he knows that he messed up MaxPax, but loses the Reaper, and then sometimes these odd bases can be a bit of a bait. In two different ways, I guess. Either you think they're going to use them to macro because it's a gold base or Rich Vespian Geyser base, so you're like, oh, they're going to try and get greedy with it. Or, you know, when actually they want to be aggressive with it because they're going to saturate faster, right? So that's the first kind of trick, I suppose. And then the second trick is that you say, well, this is more vulnerable, so I should be able to attack it, so I'm going to attack it. And all the Protoss or whatever race took that base does is prepare for an attack. So the attack, even though it's going to take advantage of some vulnerable positioning, still is up against someone who's prepared all for it. And that can also be a bit of a bait. Well, we'll see if Clem, who's really the onus is kind of on him to continue taking advantage of the situation. We'll see if he toes the line correctly, or if he over or under dedicates on it. MaxPax clearly not even concerned about the gas at this point. He did mine out about half of it, though, so he will eventually grab it. He is going into a Twilight Council with 3 gateways. It's 2 built gateways plus 1 building. I've done this math incorrectly before. And I think it is still 3. But MaxPax always gets the Warp Prism. It's either a 3-gate or a 4-gate. 4-gate's less common nowadays, but a 2-gate almost never happens with this guy. Almost never, but it does. But a 3-gate's really the sweet spot for MaxPax the last couple of years, it feels like. And MaxPax, since he is known for it, Clem should be able to defend against it. Clem is going to grab a second tank and have a bunker on the front lines. Nice little wall of SimCity to help out the tank on the main base so the Stalkers can't just blink. Well, first of all, they can't blink on top of the tank because that would require quite the long blink. But then, should they blink up to the high ground, they'd be stuck. Warp Prism would have to do some serious juggling to get it over and then over, you know, back over again. It just makes it a little more complicated. Deja Vu Weekly, exactly. Thank you very much, Mr. Chaz, the 5 Buccarinos. Thanks for supporting the channel, dude. So yeah, we got a little dip in, see if the water is warm. It was frighteningly cold, and MaxPax says, never mind. Just kidding, I don't want to do it anyway. But a Warp Prism is going to be around, is going to be threatening. Looks like either the Medevac or the Liberator is able to kill 4 probes. Seems like it was the Medevac. The Liberator will be a threat as well. So MaxPax dipped his toes in, said no thank you. Did not commit to much more as far as the Stalker warp-ins, so he has resources to put into the third base, to put into probe production of the Chronos, or to put into a Templar Archives, which is actually what he did. It's not the first time that MaxPax has gone quicker. Templar Archives and Storm Charge as a choice. Last time we did this, it was quite effective. It was 2 weeks ago. It helped that Clem was kind of forced into an SCV pool, I suppose, which SCV pools do not like going up against Storm. But is that going to happen again here? Clem is going into 2 bases. What? He does not realize it is Templar Archives. I'm not sure he would if he knew it was Storm. So getting these 2 extra barracks before your 3rd CC doesn't mean you're all-inning. It doesn't mean you're going to SCV pool. It can. But it does mean you're delaying the economy, of course. So if you're delaying your economy, you should be attacking or getting some type of extreme technology. And we're not going up to battle cruisers right now, are we? And again, attacking into someone with Storm can be troublesome. Yeah, the problem with the SCV pool is that it's really a direct attack. There's not a whole lot of cleverness about it. You pull the SCVs, you put them in front, and you attack one location and hope that it wins. Storm covers the entire location, nothing works out. But if you're not truly all in, then you could try and split up the army. And you could still have a lot of units, and you can still be kind of dedicated on the army, but you're not totally all in, you know, do it now or never do it, you know, never win. Splitting up your army could absolutely be a way to confuddle a charged Storm player. Having Storms in the proper location at all times, very difficult. Unlimited High Templars, having Storms carried around by the War Prism carefully as you're running left, right, also can be very dangerous. This is the first time that Clem sees that it's Storm, but he should know just by the way the War Prism is acting and the amount of units that really aren't there. So quick dodge away from the first Storm. He is attacking in a direct manner, but he is pre-splitting. He's got his tank siege up, kind of the pseudo counter to the High Templars right now. They need to be very careful how they drop out. And Clem might have just... Well, let's see here. Let's see how these Zealots do on the front. Storm does hit. Ooh, beautiful hit on top of most of the army. Marines going back into it and dying. But the tanks did not die quickly enough. The tanks did not go down. Only one of them did. Max Pack's very nearly able to clean this up. Needed a couple more Zealots. Here they come now. Storm still available. Medevac's, in fact, even getting low. Widowmines will pop off. A little last-second split from Max Pack mitigates the damage, but this is problematic. I mean, when you slap all of your Storms down, when you throw all of your army at the Terran, and it doesn't quite dislodge them, you might be dead. It's very similar to TVZ, you know, when a Zerg player decides to actually throw all their Banelings at a Terran, and they don't have any backup Banelings, the Terran just runs over them with like 5 Marines. It's very similar. It might have happened here. It's very, very close. A couple more units coming in here. Another Storm in the heart of the Medevacs this time, but it's a couple of Marauders living on through. The 2 Archons, if they were backed up against a shield battery, would probably never go down, but this is a good attack off 2 bases so far for Clem. He is grabbing a 3rd CC. He killed his opponent's base, so he did do enough damage already. But it seems like this is not quite going to snowball in Clem's favor, having to rally forward. Max Packs making sure to have at least some High Templars gathering energy ready for those secondary Storms. And then also including Archons, which at this point are going to be very difficult to take down. Not impossible, especially if they're the only thing remaining, but Archons with an army, that's where you want the EMPs. And Clem is not quite there yet, about halfway down on the Ghost Academy. Still, Clem did do a fairly good job with the attack. I do think it put him in the lead. Right now, 20 supply above his opponents, only behind by about 6 workers. Medevac drops, starting to get a little clumsy, starting to lose outs, but we got a supply block for Max Pack, so that's very unfortunate. He is not building pylons either. Finally, a couple will go down. But while 800 minerals could be spent on his 10 gateways fairly easily, he might start to build up a little too much. Looks like Clem didn't quite have the timing, though, to abuse that, and Max Packs will be okay for now. But the 3rd CC is on the way. Max Pack's just grabbing his 4th base. Going back to that last series, Protoss generally in this day and age want to be ahead by a base. And if this base does not get up and running, that could be very problematic for Max Packs. What's also going to be very problematic for our poor Protoss here, as he does actually clean up the drop, but the main base also a little under attack, is that his army is about to be countered. Almost every aspect of his army is going to be countered by EMPs. So even though EMPs have been nerfed and nerfed and nerfed and nerfed, they still are pretty good against Protoss because they counter everything. They take away the shield, take away the energy, particularly when it comes to Archons. Archons are all shields. The EMP is the ultimate maneuver here. So usually you'd either want to have a lot going on, War Prism dropping off units left and right, an attack happening, whatever, or you'd want to be in transition. And that is not something Max Pax is doing right now. He's going to go for the attack, grabs the medevac right off the bat, but Widow Mines are in place. A bio army with EMPs are available. One storm, not quite hitting a whole lot, to be honest. SCVs, though, are in trouble as Clem is worried about attacks in his natural and moving his army. 6 SCVs go down, but a lot of Zealots will fall, all by their lonesome. Not getting a lot of effectiveness right there, but more Zealots come in. EMP still available. Vikings looking to take down that Warp Prism, not able to do so. Widow Mines planting. It looks like Clem certainly has enough to defend, as long as he's moving and grooving. Archon's also depleted. One of them very, very low on shields. Looks like a Marine scouts the 4th base, but without probes. And again, one base up is where Protoss would want to be, so that would be like, okay, I guess that's what it is, but it's without probes. Max Pax and Clem, very similar on the work account. Definitely favors the Terran. Max Pax, for all intents and purposes, I would say was pretty much all in right there. Especially as Clem gets a drop over to the left to kill this Nexus. He will grab it and be able to leave with the majority of the army, moving over with the actual main army on the right side. And that is, that's not at all seen. There is no probe, there was no observer, there was nothing. Is there even a robo? Wait, oh yeah, he built a Warp Prism. Hadoy. But it doesn't matter. He was not able to build anything else besides Zealots and a couple of High Templars. They're really quite countered by EMPs. EMPs in any amount of army. Clem would have had to have purposefully bathed in those storms on the defense to lose this game. It's always a little scary, though, because it can happen. You can look away, especially with Max Pax's habit of successful distractions. You could look away at the wrong moment and get stormed to death, so it's always a little scary. But Clem is the best Terran in the world. His 2-base attack ended up being just good enough. He was very close to being broken, though. I know that seemed like that was a perfect idea, that worked out brilliantly, that got exactly what it wanted, and then it was smooth sailing from there. But it was very close to being broken. And when the Terran army gets broken on the front lines against Storm like that, the situation is either it's so dead even that it kind of stalemates, or that snowball effect goes the reverse way, where sometimes the Terran is just enough, and so they send 5 Marines forward and kill 50 probes. Or the other way is that the Terran is all types of destroyed, and then charge lots chase after the reinforcements, and then immediately go into a counterattack. And that's pretty freaking scary for the Terran, too. So it was a very deciding moment for that game, but it was really close to going harsh one way or the other. And Clem came out the victor. Just had to play the rest of the game through carefully, but he did. And now we're in Ultra Love. On the top right, down one, he is Max Pax. Bottom left, it is Clem. So it's on a knife's edge. Charge Storm feels... It's an extreme, I suppose. Colossus, they're boring. They're monotone. They're like, yeah, they do the thing. They do the defense. Okay, fine. But very dependable. Storm, charge, it's always on a knife's edge. I'm going to go for a factory expand this game. Max Pax, as I noted, did not commit to the 3-gate pressure. He did only dip his toes in, saw the tank, saw the SimCity, decided that wasn't what he wanted to do anyway. Wanted to go into High Templars, man. But he could commit here. Looking at the map. SimCity wall up there. Yeah. Thing is, it's the Terrans having improved SimCity against the Blink Stalkers is a real godsend. I mean, there used to be maps. Heavy Rain, for those who remember those years, was a very, very, very good map for Blink Stalkers. Pretty sure it was called Heavy Rain. I'm pretty sure that's the correct map. And it was a fantastic time for Blink Stalker all-ins. Back in Heart of the Swarm, I believe. And it had a large main, right? I'm not confusing this with some other base. Now I'm kind of worried. I'm second-guessing myself. And a huge main before Terrans got good meant that the Stalkers could blink in, and then the Stalkers could run around, right? So they'd blink in, and then the tanks would be all types of tucked in around the SCVs, you know, protecting them, protecting themselves. And the blink Stalkers just be like, yeah, la 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 la, and be able to blink in the base, backwards and forwards. And that was really problematic. And then I think two things happened. One, map makers stopped making the bases large with totally accessible ledges. I mean, these maps back in the day, this would also be an accessible ledge. I mean, technically it is actually, but I mean, we're talking like the terrain would be right next to it. It'd be the easiest blink up possible. 70% of the base would be blinkable. It sucked. So that changed. And then the second thing was that all these Terrans really caught on to the SimCity idea, which is that, yeah, your SCVs can't be brought to repair your tank if it's like the quickest possible reaction is necessary. And a little depth harassment here. I'm not sure it's going to get the Reaper regen. Oh, it wasn't Reaper regen. It just straight up died. Good job, Hellion. Reaper micro just good enough. One Hellion, another Hellion slipped on in and grabbed 3 probes. Excellent start for Clem as I was talking here. Nicely done. But anyway, so the tank might not be close to the SCVs, so it might not be repairable. It might be a little more vulnerable. The Stalkers could blink in and immediately grab it, but again, depending on your SimCity, maybe not. But that's the point of the SimCity. And because the Stalkers would need to blink into the tank fire, they can't just like run around and kill the SCVs. Which would also be the other reason to have tanks behind, closer to your SCVs. Maybe so the SCVs don't get slaughtered by, let's say, a Warp Prism with Stalkers, which MaxPax is definitely the best at doing. If his 4-gate didn't work, he would still find 15 SCVs worth of damage just running on with a Warp Prism. Not so much anymore. The new Colossus in Hearthstone is broken. I saw Day 9 playing Hearthstone, what was it, last week or 2 weeks ago, and I was so amused by the Infestor being broken. I feel like someone in Hearthstone played Wings of Liberty. And it was like, I'm about to do the funniest shit ever. Anyway. We got 3 gateways, because of course that's what MaxPax does. Well, it's a new expansion. You know, I'm definitely, I don't think it's a bad idea, and I don't think it's a conspiracy. All new things in video games are going to be broken. Because that's going to encourage people to buy them, sure, but then it's also just going to encourage people to use them so you can get a better idea as to what to scale back on. So, I'm not surprised StarCraft expansion's broken. It just, the Infestor in particular tickled me. It is a 3-gate, not a 4-gate, but a 3-gate that is committed to can be as fearsome. That's why Clem is taking this seriously. Plus, he doesn't know if it 100% is a 4-gate. He has not seen the 3rd Nexus or the amount of gateways totally yet, I guess. Technically, yeah. So, better play it safe. 2 bunkers in the front, 2 tanks in the main. That's pretty much as safe as you can get, including that SimCity. Oh, Clem making a mistake. He was focused on target firing the Woodham mine. Almost lost his medevac. Finally gets away with that. And MaxPax's little 3 gates pressure. Certainly not going to find the damage. I mean, yeah, he's trying to force the issue, but 2 bunkers plus a tank at this point, plus the map had a ramp to help out. I know the Warp Prism gives high ground vision, but the closer it gets to the bunker, the more likely Clem could actually try and target fire the Warp Prism. It's a little sketch, MaxPax is going to have to now think about how to macro out of this, but that's usually what he's one of the best at. Not just the actual attack itself, but the recovery process afterward. 2 Vikings immediately. Interesting. I mean, this could be to make sure he doesn't have to deal with Warp Prism shit, and I would totally understand. But I'm wondering, he could, well, if he got confirmation that it was Colossus, which he sees the robotics bay, no, yes, there's the robotics bay. He could actually just go Vikings. We have seen him do this before. He did it on Golden Wall, I want to say 2 weeks ago, against MaxPax. Sorry, not Golden Wall. El Dorado, the Golden Wall brother, cousin, whatever. And well, I definitely understood it then because it was a pretty short distance between the bases. This might just be for the Warp Prism. Obviously can be used to help out against Colossus in the future, but the Warp Prism not going to be a threat over on that left side. Stalkers, not a threat on the front either, and getting killed too. And he really just did not want the Warp Prism shenanigans to continue. That will mean he will have 2 less medevacs than you would usually expect on the first attack. That's less healing. That's also less maneuverability. Clem's intentions might be move out anyway. We'll see. He's still harassing with the auto turret and the Raven. Tons of space back here. Jeez. As Clem saturates his third, they are at even workers. Even. Clem going to be fully saturated as he takes his third. He is going to move out. He's going to attack into this 4th base that is only just now finishing for Max Packs. Max Packs' supply currently in a pretty bad place. 25 supply difference. But we have shield battery. You have proper army movement. Definitely something a Protoss could defend against, but it's really scary letting those tanks as close as they are. Colossus pops out with the shield battery to help, so I do believe that's going to be good enough. Zealot's getting ready to tackle tanks on the backside, should Clem commit to the front attack. We also have more Zealots coming in from the Warp Prism that either could, again, go in from behind or go for the run-by. The run-by is the choice here. Clem sticking some units in the mineral line, doing well. Reinforcements are caught out by the other pack of Zealots, but this has actually shown Clem now there must not be a lot of units on the front lines. There's like 12 Zealots running around on the map. He does go into the main base for a drop. The Stalkers and Colossus going to be just enough. Zealots certainly going to push this back. The tanks were not left wide open, and the Zealots had been committing to the forward aggressions. They weren't there to tackle the tanks while they were alone. And now Clem, not just with the tanks on the front line, but another whole army is maybe going to grab this 4th Nexus. Colossus coming to the rescue, but it's too late. Shield battery had already used up all of its juice. Nexus goes down. Colossus also going to fall. Vikings ensuring their death. The rest of Max Pax's army is coming forward now, but tanks are still in place. A drop's over at the 3rd. Raven even still looking for auto turret harassment. Everything is blinking on the map, but it is blinking in favor of Clem. As he once again deals with any Zealot run-bys. He's still got a bunker to help out too. Finally, Max Pax's able to collect his army to go for a collapse on the tanks. They weren't very well protected, but it still costs him some units. And he's not even going to take down every last unit of Clem, who decides to go into the main base. Vikings going to go to the south. Medevacs go to the north. 2 Medevacs still waiting over to the 3rd, or the natural. 3rd is wide open. Max Pax is hanging on by a thread, but he is hanging on. All of this aggression and still only down by 20 supply is admirable, but he did lose that 4th Nexus, and that's the real kicker here. That's what's going to continue holding Max Pax down in this game. He needs to rebuild it, but he also needs to make sure that he doesn't build it while, you know, paying attention to other things. Suddenly Clem just pops it with a couple of Marines. He does not have vision over in this area. So that is very possible, but fortunately not happening. Max Pax's army now all over the map. But he has taken now map control. I mean, it could be all over the map in a bad way, which is not following Clem's army. Or it could be all over the map in a good way, and he's got map control. Seems to be the latter. 2 medevacs go down. Nothing happening on Max Pax's side of the map, or at least not much. Auto turret harassment is very consistent. But that would have been my biggest worry, having my units chase down those medevacs, is, oh my god, he's going to kill my Nexus. He was not. Clem using the time to kind of chill out, recover. Did not rally his units forward. Just kept on balling them up. We got equal upgrades. +2 attack for the Protoss, 1-1 for Clem. Clem's Viking count upwards to almost 11 at this point. That means the Colossus won't be terribly effective, honestly. That's a really good count. Actually, 9 right now. 10th will pop out, and that'll be pretty much perfect. Medevacs. Oh, no! The F2. No, Sentry! Why? No! That Sentry was going to be such a hero. Clem noticing Max Pax not more auto turret harassment. Good lord, it's annoying just to even cast that shit. How much damage has this Raven done? 10 probe kills, but so much distraction. So much. Back to the army compositions. Max Pax has kind of weathered the storm. That 4th base coming down and actually finishing on first try is a very good thing here. 5th base not going to have the same happen, though, unfortunately. If that Sentry killed the medevac. But once again, Clem not quite paying attention, will not get the opportunity to stim and gun that down while it was still unhealthy. Does save the medevac, though. Warp Prism on the left, ready to go in. Factory not quite going to be able to see that. Kind of depends on how it goes. Natural. Oh, wait a minute. There's 2 Warp Prisms. Natural and May now under attack. Clem forces to stay back on his side of the map, and MaxPack's going to take some advantage of that. Sending all of his Stalkers to the front. A little late on the blink, though. 20 Stalkers. Definitely a good amount. Clears out the Wood of Mines at the very least. Sensor tower finally going up. Clem realizing, yeah, that's probably a pretty good idea. And the 4th base will come down. Auto turret, maybe another sensor tower as well. Zealot's going to see it, but not be able to do much about it. Things have certainly calmed down. Makes me a believer in MaxPack's potential once again. He is behind in upgrades, but only by 1, so not as bad as it could have been. Clem prioritizing that +3 attack. Might remember the +3 armor. We'll see. Ship weapons also almost done. He's been very good about ship weapons, helping his Liberator transition, but also helping the Vikings we currently have again. 10. An almost perfect number, I would say, against 3 Colossus. 12, maybe, is perfect. Arguable. Disruptors are on the way, though, no. You just cannot stay on Colossus indefinitely. You want to try and trade them out efficiently and then stop going for them and then go back into them. We know the deal. This is a very powerful Terran army. 2-2 versus 2-1. EMPs galore. Disruptor is not going to get the shot. That would have been a ton of damage. The Vikings are taking on the Colossus. Only 2 of them remain very, very injured, but the Vikings could not chase after. Unfortunately, the Nexus is a goner. MaxPack's going to pull too far back, and the army was slaughtering it. But we also have Zealots taking care of some SCVs on Clem's side of the map. CC having to be lifted. But MaxPack's going to lose 2 Nexus and 18 probes. Clem just losing the 17 SCVs. He has mules. He has orbitals. I will say this Terran army is getting awfully weakened. Medevac energy, non-existent. EMPs, I think only 1 more available, but the Colossus about to go down. There's all of them down. Now only gateway units out upgraded by a lot of Marauders. Might just be enough in numbers to take care of this. It is just enough. MaxPack's also not going to chase this army down. Either because he thought he couldn't, or because he was more worried about something attacking him on the left. I'm not sure why, but 2 medevacs will be able to fly into the main base and cause further trouble. That Dark Shrine was a great idea when the economy was okay for MaxPack's. Now it'll be very difficult to afford even 1 or 2, although it might be very worth it to afford them. They've also now been seen. So Clem is going to put down missile turrets and be wary of that. He still has his planetary. He still has a bunker on his 3rd. He's scanning actually to the top left, wondering, hey, am I misreading the situation? No, he is not. He is definitely winning. MaxPack's, once again, hanging on by a thread. Deja vu. Clem is now up by about 50 supplies, so even better than before, I believe. That's a good disruptor shot. That was a good disruptor shot. Plenty of injured Marauders, dead Marines. Still a 50 supply lead. And just about for Clem as he drops his medevac back onto the main base to kill some probes. MaxPack's simply losing his economy at this point. He's not just lost his Nexus, but he's also losing access to minerals. DT being used defensively, probably the best bet, but we're still on 3 orbitals, so scans aren't really a problem. Especially as Clem has rebuilt his SCV count from earlier. He also has continued with upgrades. 3-3 will be done for the Terran. MaxPack's only on 2-1, and his army is entirely gateway-based. 2 Colossus exist somewhere. There they are walking over now, but while they don't have an immediate response, all the Vikings did die. Are they going to be able to take down 3-3 Bio? Disruptor taken out of the fight. Zealots just getting slaughtered, man. They're only on 1 armor. That is a choke that kind of favors MaxPack's Colossus, but what is his... I mean, his goal has to be end of the game right now. MaxPack has to end it right here, right now. And the planetary alone is going to be tough to take down. Much less the army protecting it. That is a lot of Marauders. Not quite able to get up close and personal to the Colossus, but Vikings are being remade. And as soon as MaxPack runs into any type of concave, woof, forget about it. 1 Colossus down, 2nd Colossus still alive, SCVs are being pulled. Clem knows that MaxPack is totally all in and wants to end the game in his favor right here, right now. And he absolutely will. Clem almost doubling the supply, pulls the SCVs back. They did their job. Now the Bio can take out the Stalkers, no problem. MaxPack's possibly even a little stubborn at this point. He is mining off of not even 1 base. GG's. Clem Will 2-0. That second game was much more of a roller coaster than I was expecting. Clem had the lead for the majority of it, but man, MaxPax, he hung on. Still not good enough. He will go down to the lower bracket, and Clem will be waiting possibly for him again in the winners finals. Hero beat Showtime and now waits for the winner of Geralt versus Trigger. So Trigger versus Geralt is happening on NA. They're about 3 minutes in. It is best of one, so no point waiting. But Hero is the eventual opponent, so I guess we should all go to NA anyway. The one in the cat cam is Dimitri. The one whose tail is waving in front of my face is Wicket. What do you want? No. Can you stop? I don't know why she's getting up on my table so much. She doesn't usually go for the face. Go away. She's a little rascal. wonder who's casting. Probably Roddy. Yep. Very close. I think Wicket found a spider. I feel like I should go save the spider. I'm close now to just being able to pick up spiders with my hands. I used to be quite scared of them. And some of them are still butt ugly, man. There's like kind of cute spiders who are a little fuzzy, who are definitely not venomous, who I see everywhere. And then there's the spider who oh, did I tell you guys? Our Spidey bro in the front of our house, he died. Yeah, jumping spiders are adorable. But there's a spider that moved in when, around the same time we did and made a little web in the top corner near our front door, but it's a really high ceiling, so it never bothered us. And I looked at him once, took a picture, and I zoomed in, and I was like, ah, it looks like a crab. And then I found out that's exactly what it was. He was a crab spider. And he was there for like a year and a half, probably. And then one day I looked up, and he wasn't there, and I looked down, and there he was, curled up on the ground. I was actually quite sad about it. I thought it was pretty cool having a spider living right there. Yeah, I couldn't do pet spiders because the lives are so short. I actually think tarantulas are quite cool and cute too. Not huntsmen though. The thing is that tarantulas are very fragile, very fuzzy. They don't really jump. Huntsmen absolutely jump. So they may be fuzzy, but they absolutely jump, and I can't have that. Nope. No, thank you. Like, jumping spiders are cute because they're very small and they jump. I even befriended one. Made sure he didn't die to the cats. But a gigantic spider that can jump at you? Nope. Yeah, there's one in my basement that I saved from the cats, and there is one outside, and I took out one of our cats for a walk that I befriended. No schlab. Don't know the reference, I think. Don't know that reference. Not a big Tolkien fan. The spider hid underneath my yoga block and has successfully avoided Wicket's wrath. Now she's crazed trying to find it. Trigger's in some trouble. Womp womp womp. That's okay, Sinsara. I'm used to people comically hating on me for not liking Tolkien. I don't take it personally. I don't mind your boos. I see what you cheer at. I just don't know Tolkien. I don't actually care about him as a person. I just don't like Lord of the Rings. So. Hey, Trigger's almost brought this game back. DTs, man. It's one of my hot takes. You like Tolkien but hate Peter Jackson? Yeah, okay. To be fair, I haven't really tried to read Lord of the Rings. I tried maybe once or twice and didn't care. Hey, Trigger actually won. He was pretty close to dead. DTs. What a drug, man. But yeah, I definitely didn't like... I mean, I don't actually have liked anything from Peter Jackson, to be honest. Not that I've watched that much, I think. Yeah, so I didn't like the Lord of the Rings. I thought the first Hobbit movie was fine, but then the rest of the Hobbit movies sucked. King Kong was cool, but... I don't know if I liked it. Never bothered with Lovely Bones. Oh, he made the Frighteners. Oh no, I actually like the Frighteners. Never mind. I did not know he directed that. Okay. I like one Peter Jackson movie. Frighteners is a weird movie, but I enjoyed it. Gotta reduce the timer for the predictions. PvP could be over in a flash. Okay. So I've only just learned that apparently Palantir is a token thing. The company that is like, just wrote this really weird dystopian apocalyptic manifesto. I didn't remember hearing that word, so maybe you guys can enlighten me. It's a best of 1 PvP on Ultra Love. The winner of this goes to the upper brackets to face Clem in a possible 2 series finals, but more information on that when we get there. For now, it's the lower bracket best of 1. Bottom left, Hero. Top right, Trigger. It is nice to have a different name here. Trigger managing to defeat Geralt in a very close best of 1 PvP. Geralt... Oh, I thought he actually was supply blocked. Whew. Geralt had a couple of good PvPs, but unfortunately thwarted by Max Pax. Oh, I'm sorry. The winner of this faces Max Pax. And the winner of that goes to the upper bracket. Excuse me. Anyway, Geralt had defeated Skillus and Max Pax... Or, damn it, Skillus and Hero. Then got thwarted by Max Pax. Trigger then defeated Geralt. Hero defeated Showtime, I believe. And that's how we ended up here. And again, the winner of this faces Max Pax in another best of 1 PvP. And the winner of that goes to the upper bracket. So Clem's waiting for a little bit. But it is PvP, so, you know, maybe not very long, actually. Hero is the favorite here as the Korean, although Trigger is also Korean, and he currently lives in Korea because of his dual citizenship, and so he's also Korean, but you know what I mean. You know what I mean. Anyway, Hero is the favorite thanks to his long-standing achievements in StarCraft, being named the best Protoss in StarCraft 2 for a couple of years at the very least, and many people still argue that he is because Max Pax doesn't have offline results. But Trigger, as much as he is Korean and he's currently living in Korea, very much North American playstyle. Very much. He's Canadian, Korean, and he has a North American playstyle, and by that I mean he makes games really funky, really hectic, and that's exactly how he beat Geralt in the last match that he played. He was almost certainly losing in a straight-up Blink Stalker battle, and then good old DTs. Am I right, fellas? Am I right? So... Hero is the odd man out sometimes. He does very aggressive things, and he chooses very aggressive maneuvers that other people wouldn't. Like, well, certainly you can't blink onto that. Oh, we did. Oh, we won. Okay, fair enough. but maybe you could think of it as Hero is the aggressive odd man out as far as the micro goes. I mean, you know, you think a lot about his micro and his Blink Stalker decisions or his Oracle control or something along those lines. And then Trigger is the odd North American out because he will take even a relatively normal looking game, flip it on its head, and then do some crazy shit. Like, instead of affording the 6 Stalkers you would expect to defend against an attack, he would instead dedicate to 6 or 5 DTs, whatever you can afford. And you know, risk the base trade, do a little gamble. So, in some ways similar to each other, in other ways not. And it's a best of 1 PvP, and I couldn't tell you who really was favored in that regard. They both can have some really volatile results. We do have our builds decided. Some minor harassments. 3 probes did go down for Trigger, and that does put him behind by 3 probes, so it's minor as in not a big number, but pretty major in that, well, they're doing the exact same thing, and now you've lost out on some units. Although exact same thing is not quite actually accurate. Stargate versus Stargate, you know, Nexus versus Nexus. No 2 gates here. But, and this did not work out for Trigger, by the way. Trigger did go for an Oracle. Hero went for Phoenix. Trigger knew that Hero went for Phoenix. His Adept was picked up by a Phoenix. And that is something that can be very much expected when you both open Nexus and 2 Stargates, is you're going to go into a Phoenix War. If you hate Phoenix Wars, you might try everything in your power not to do that. If you think you can outsmart your opponent, kind of subvert expectations, you can go for an Oracle and then hope the Phoenix went out to be aggressive themselves. In which case, the Oracle would have killed, you know, 6 probes before the Phoenix got recalled back. Which is probably what Trigger was hoping was happening. And it wasn't. He just lost the Oracle. It was a complete waste of minerals, gas, Stargate, and Oracle. Complete waste. The Trigger does acknowledge that there's no way he'd ever win a Phoenix War at this point. Went into the Stalker, went into the Blink. Chiro also probably acknowledging at this point, there's no way this kid went into Phoenix as well. I have to move on. But the Phoenix, they actually could be aggressive at this point. He might be kind of afraid that Trigger went for a real gamble. And went for a second Oracle, which sounds insane, but going back to my descriptions of these 2 players, would be in line with Trigger. That would be the much odder thing to do, the much more North American thing to do, because it'd be kind of so bad it could be good. You know what I mean? But that's, you know, not happening. I don't think it would have worked anyway. But yeah, Hero might have been a little scared about that. Kept his units at home. Phoenix do eventually move out. They miss the proxy pylon, though. So something finally going in Trigger's favor. And the Phoenix are not using their potential. They've not lived up to their potential quite yet as far as the harassing units. He did spend so long defending against the possible Oracle and the possible second Oracle again that there wasn't really an opening. By the time the Phoenix moved across the map, Trigger had built plenty of Stalkers and is defending both mineral lines with those Stalkers. He might eventually move out, particularly when he sees that Hero does intend to grab a 3rd Nexus, which there's not too much else to do. I don't know if a Phoenix Immortal All-In exists past this point, but in which case, Trigger has units that are very mobile and that actually kill buildings. Whereas Hero has 4 units in the sky that are very mobile, but they don't kill buildings. But they absolutely do help out in an engagement. They will help out in an engagement, combined with a Guardian Shield and a couple of Immortals. Trigger can't be too overeager to try and kill his opponent's Nexus. Because if he is wrong about his potential to kill it, he cannot escape very easily. Phoenix, great at chasing down units on the retreat. So, kind of between a rock and a hard place, kind of for both players. Because if Hero decided that he did want to go for an attack, then he would be outmaneuvered possibly. He could be forced into a base trade that might not go his way. Phoenix will run over the Stalkers. Stalkers kill the Phoenix. Immortals lag behind some of the other units. They start getting picked up one by one. Or they run into charge, which Trigger is currently getting and can absolutely help out against this composition. So it's kind of difficult for both sides. But we do see that Hero with the Warp Prism finally deciding to move out. Charge is not quite done. Still is about 20 seconds to go on that one. Shield battery is not quite prepared. Trigger knows that he's in some trouble. He's still only on Stalkers. He was trying to get to a better word count than his opponent, but that could be his undoing. He is ahead by 11 workers and down half the army supply. Hero might have gotten a third Nexus, but he did not intend to put the probes on it. This was a little bit of trickery that Trigger did not anticipate. He saw the move out. He started to prepare when he saw the move out, but by then, still was a little late. Charge is now done, but the Zealot count's not high enough. The Zealot's getting demolished. The Phoenix picking up the Stalkers. Not enough DPS to really kill anything here is the problem. Trigger just cannot kill these units, and this will be a very easy best of one for Hero. GG. That trickery. GG's. The North American hope thwarted. And now we go back onto North America because we will have Hero versus MaxPax. All these lower bracket best of ones, by the way, they also have a default map. It's, adds a little bit of interest to it. Means that you are seeing maps you wouldn't usually. In a mirror matchup, that doesn't really matter, of course. But in some other matchups, someone might be really angry they have to play on El Dorado. But this one will start off, well, this map, it's best one, will be on Talisman, PT Talisman. So they don't have only ladder maps in this map pool. For those who haven't seen this before, they have 3 maps, I believe, that are not ladder map approved. So that's Hellscape, Talisman, and Errolholm, I think are the 3. So Talisman isn't the weirdest one. I think it actually might be the most normal looking one out of the non-ladder maps, I think. That's in my frequently asked questions, Sensaro. But I can tell you. Zombie, I liked zombie, like, mythology, I guess you would call it. And grub is a funny / cool word. And together it means humans. Zombie food. I needed a new name when I opened up StarCraft. This was literally the first new name I had. I had a lot of nicknames before it as a perpetual onliner. Tomboyish FF, Tomboy Final Fantasy. Inuzuka Red, which was from Naruto. Inuzuka being the dog dude and his dog's name meaning red in Japanese. There was one other name that people used to call me, but I've forgotten it by now. So anyways, when I bought StarCraft 2 and it was like, what do you want your name to be? I was like, these are all old names, you know. I don't do Naruto roleplay anymore. I need a new one. Man, there's one more name. I made contact with a very old friend from those online days a couple years back, and it was a real nostalgia trip because she called me by one of those old names. And I was like, "Oh yeah, I don't go by that anymore." That's such a funny feeling. It also means that I've been used to being called your online handle for way longer than most people. I mean, certainly some people have been, in Warcraft were called by their online handle, and that's been forever. or Brood War, and that's been forever. But for me, this has been almost like as natural as my real name as being called something else, because I've been onlining since, I was like 12 or something. You heard the name? You don't know what Naruto is? Oh my gosh. Oh god. It's an anime. And it was the most popular anime for a long time. And me and my friends were very much into Naruto when it was first released. We were big weeps. Big into anime. By the time they had a time skip, which resulted in, I think, 2 years of filler. The guy who created Naruto just stopped writing. It was clear he hadn't really thought this far ahead. So anyways, there's a time skip and 2 years of anime filler. That's about when I stopped watching it, but I used to role play with my friends, and we all took the characters from the show. Anyway. Good times, good times. We got ourselves another best one PvP. Bottom left, hero. Top right, max packs. This was not the map that I was thinking of. Talisman does definitely look different than other maps out there in the map pool. But there's one other map in this tournament that is really weird. And a map that is actually pretty normal, but it's not in the ladder. I don't remember which is which, but yeah, this one's a little weird. It's definitely not as weird as the other one I'm thinking of. But first of all, we just don't have many maps with the beach terrain anymore, which is really sad. And second of all, there's a lot of open space in the middle, which I mean isn't abnormal. It's not the weirdest map. It is certainly a little different. That's what I'm trying to get at. Huge main. Oh, there you go. There's something really odd. Huge main. Oh my god. And then in the back, you got minerals. This looks like it could be 3 trips, maybe. Or just a base you take, I guess. It could be your triangle base, I guess, if you kill the rocks. Wow. I think this is the first time I've seen this. They do not pick it if they have a choice. So, 2 gateways from Hero. Max Packs, as we know, loves the 1 gate. It's a natural with a ramp, so of course he goes for the low ground 1 gateway. Into Stargate, because that's what he do. Hero did place down a pylon, but this is very clearly a psych pylon, kind of, really. I mean, he's actually doing something nefarious, but he's not proxying anything. So Max Pax would have seen a lacking second pylon and gone, okay, what are you doing to me? Like, big surprise. And then he might have spent 2 probes worth of economy looking for that pylon. Because as soon as you find it, you also find whatever they're proxying. So you know exactly what they're doing. In this case, however, Max Pax saw no second pylon and said, I know you're cheesing me because that's what you're going to do. You're Hero. I'm Max Pax. And I am just going to prepare. Hero is doing that thing I mentioned. Remember when I was saying, people were trying to figure out how to kill Max Pax? Roddy put it well. The trick is to convince them you're all-inning and then not. And then actually be macroing. But there's 2 things that make that difficult. It's not as easy as it sounds. The first thing is convincing him. Him not figuring things out too quickly. The second thing is that if you dedicate to an attack and then don't do it, you're not actually that far ahead economically, right? You've also committed your resources to other things. In this case, Hero had a Robo and a Twilight Council before he decided to cancel his 3rd gateway and go for a Nexus. So even though Max Pax has been successfully duped, he thinks there's an attack on the way, and he's desperately trying to figure out where it is and what it is. He's not as far behind as he could be if this was like a double, triple mind game where Max Pax actually had no response for whatever reason. He'd actually be so far ahead, probably. He'd have gotten the Oracle, he'd have chronoed his probes, he wouldn't have gotten these extra shield batteries or the Forge or the cannon, and no Void Rays, right? And he would have been like, oh, okay, what's going on here? But he was duped, he was tricked. He still holds a bit of a probe lead, and now that he's seen his opponent did in fact go for an X, he's going to go, you got me. Okay, fair enough. I wasted my time on 2 Void Rays, I wasted my energy on a Forge, and a lot of stack defense. Hopefully I still have some lead in some other way. And he does. He does have the worker lead. but he does not have the map control lead. So he's not going to have any way of taking map control and getting a third base particularly quickly. Or safely, I should say. Whereas Hero with Blink is going to have a little bit more of that direct attack, direct map control. Void Rays do not do well when they go on the map by themselves, especially against Blink Stalkers. That's, yeah, not going to happen. So, MaxPax is in some trouble, I would say. This is one of the rare times I've seen him so successfully duped. But he might not be auto loss because of this, because he still is able to figure things out pretty quickly. My concern would be how often has MaxPax had this type of game happen, because obviously you can't practice being tricked. Some good force fields coming out for Hero right there. Excellent force fields. Not a committal at all from Hero. He is grabbing a third Nexus. The Phoenix will see that from MaxPax. Nonetheless, knows he's got the map control and finds 3 Stalkers of his opponents for free. So back to the point I was making, MaxPax is absolutely the type of StarCraft player who has talent, no doubt about it, but has to play a million games. And that's exactly what he did to get as good as he is. He played a million games doing the exact same thing, and whenever someone sent something new to him, he would lose, and he'd go, I need to practice against that 50 bajillion times. And he would. And so he initially he would get killed by a Blink Stalker all in. He didn't have the shield battery in the main. He fixed that. Then there was I think there was something else where he decided that like a Forge or a Robo was a better response to the Stargate. And he fixed that. But this is a game that you can't practice because you can't tell your opponent, try and trick me, because you're going to be on guard about trickery. So that's not the same. So I don't know. MaxPax, he's still talented. He still played some games against this problem that he's facing, but not a lot. So Hero has successfully put him on the back foot. MaxPax is trying to get this kind of triangle nexus, trying to mine out the minerals as well so he can instantly defend from the main. But Hero is ready to go, man. He's ready to end this game. He's got a Warp Prism and quite the large army. MaxPax does have an upgrade lead and 2 Void Rays that now have no prismatic alignment. They are not very useful. One immediately goes down. Shield battery will finish, but nowhere close to the army now as the force fields move MaxPax out of the way. MaxPax needed this third Nexus. He either needed it to live or needed to cancel it. Instead, it finishes and now it's killed. And that's possibly game over. Not quite saying it yet. MaxPax does have 1 counterattack possible. He will have +2 to 0. He will have his own blink as well eventually. 3 more seconds, in fact. Loses a Stalker, though, right before that happens. Might lose a second Stalker as well. And Hero, of course, has a third Nexus that is fully saturated. It does seem like Hero's deception has worked out brilliantly here. MaxPax, he did not send out those 2 probes to figure out what's going on. And even if he did, there's no guarantee he would have determined that something, if he was happening anyway. It would have taken him so long to scout all over the map. And he can't build a faster sentry if he thinks he's under attack because he needs the Void Rays if he was actually being all in. But if there is some way that he had seen that Nexus being put down within the first 30 seconds of it, I'm pretty sure he would have been A-okay, no problem, totally fine, even probably still ahead. But he did not realize what was happening until that Nexus was finished. I do love the hidden base. MaxPax's going to have to bring out every trick that he has to try and win this game. Hidden Nexus, Warp Prism, Dark Shrine. I can't think of anything else Protoss can do. That's about all the tricks I have knowledge of. Disruptors aren't really tricks, and they've basically been proven to be bad. They are no longer the comeback unit, not just because of the nerf they got in the last year, but just 3 years ago, people figured out how to defend against, how to attack into Disruptor Hail Marys. So that hasn't been a comeback mechanic for a while. The MaxPax is bringing out all the other comeback mechanics. He's distracting on the front, or at least trying to, hoping this Warp Prism in the main will do some mega damage, but we also got a Warp Prism from here going into his main as well, and that could also cause problems. Stalkers also are going to be chipped at. As they blink away, the Zealots will chase. The Stalkers of Hero will blink as well. MaxPax on the cusp of defeat here. He could be, once again, not the finalist, just like last week. And it looks like cannon plus shield better was enough to deal with whatever DTs were dropped out of there. Max Specs, he was duped, man. He had no idea what was happening. One Void Ray comes out from, I don't know where it was parked, to try and kill the Warp Prism, but the damage has already been done. Hero does look for the hidden Nexus, finds it, and that'll be that. Hero making it look easy. Good for him. Good for him. He will face Clem again and see if he can get revenge for last week, where he lost 2-3 against Clem in the finals. Wow. Everyone believed in Max Packs, huh? Ew, RTS, those are nerd games. If my whole life story about me role-playing on online forums and anime didn't already give me enough nerd credibility. Sogoma, yeah, that's it, Mike Sixers. Yeah, that's the weird one. Did they take it out of the map pool? I think they actually might have replaced it with Talisman. That's why I haven't seen Talisman before. Yeah, I think that's what happened. Yeah. Eldorado, Hellscape, Airholm, Leylines, Frostlines, Talisman, Wisps of Gold, Amygdala, and Ultra Love. Max Packs used the worker channel to get into the main for a scout. I completely missed the fact that there was a worker channel. It's the side of the minerals, the ramp with the blue bits on it. I would go in to look at the map again, but I'm afraid to miss the lobby invite. Oh, I think I see it. I do see it. Okay. Now that you pointed it out, it's very obvious, actually. It's this thing. So there's a gap between the minerals and then a ramp. So he got in, saw the main building up and all in, and then got out, and then didn't return to find it again. Or, well, he may have tried, but Hero might have had a unit patrolling for it. The Cannon Rush channel. It's like, well, now that you point it out. I did see chat moving, but did not give it the attention it needed. Will the cat wake up? Only to claw at me for water. That's what he does. Dimitri. Who is Uncle Boy? Okay, back to sleep he goes. Taking much longer. Well, we might have to regame, so I'm not gonna go into the game yet. Good guy Clem. He tried to invite everyone, but missed Palmy, so restarts the game. Alright, now I think it's really gonna happen. It's a best of 5 finals to begin with. In the top left, coming in from the winner's bracket, he is Clem. On the bottom right of Whispers of Gold, he is Hero, coming in from the loser's bracket. If Hero wins this best of 5, we will have another best of 3. So we will have a bracket reset, should that happen. If Clem wins, then that's it. We're all done. We move on. They changed it to best of 5 last week. I guess it's still the same. The description in the challenge isn't incredibly thorough, but I'm pretty sure that's the way it goes. So last week, Clem almost lost the best of 5, but rallied after losing 2 games. He won 2 games, and he lost 2 games, and then he actually managed to complete it by game 5. The 3 games that Clem won were pretty freaking convincing. Heroes games, one was convincing, I want to say. Another one was kind of like a desperate comeback, which is still pretty cool. But overall, Clem did seem to be the more likely one to win, and he did prove that. Best of 7, Clem up 1. Are you saying that would be the other way to approach it? That is the other way that StarCraft has approached lower bracket situations. I've always preferred just a total reset, as in, like, it doesn't matter where you came from. I think bracket resets are really anticlimactic and not fit for a game where the average game length is like 12 minutes, oftentimes going up to 15 or 20 minutes. Because one, again, it adds to the anticlimactic aspect to it. You know, 5 epic games, and then it's like, okay, reset. I don't know, it just doesn't feel like right. And then 2, because the games can be so long, going through the lower bracket is already a big punishment. Particularly for Hero, who is awake at 6, 7 a.m. after getting up at like 2 a.m. I've talked about this last week, but I can kind of see it in fighting games just because it's like really like go, 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 go. So it's like the best of 3 they play to get their ladder reset is done in like 10 minutes, and then it's still pretty hype. But that's just my opinion, man. I didn't make this. I'm not even contributed to it, so I really shouldn't be criticizing it. And for the most part, I'm not. It's not my preference. Anyway, that does mean that Hero has a tougher time against Clem after already having tough times versus Clem. Clem is the favorite to win all of these open cups. That will not be changing anytime soon. Clem still plays an ungodly amount. From Wikipedia and Roddy Stream. Well, what the fuck? What is the format now? Alright, they need to update the freaking challenge then. They updated the challenge map pools. Alright, so disregard everything. Remember when I said I shouldn't criticize? I'm criticizing! I'm actually not that bothered by it. But as soon as anyone else is like, "Aye, come on, pay attention." Now I'm like, "Oh, I'll fucking pay attention. I'll pay attention to your fucking face and punch you." Anyways, so now it's officially best of 7, 1-up. Wikipedia being the website that, you know, is usually correct is fair. However, generally Wikipedia is a fan edit of dedicated people, but still. And, you know, the official bracket is supposed to be the one where the updates happen. For instance, they updated the map pool on the challenge and then proceeded to not have best of 7 anywhere in the description. Nowhere in this description. But this is the other way they do it. And it's fine, but again, I would like it to have nothing, but we have had the PVT continue. It's 5.5 minutes. We've had our builds chosen. Clem going for medevac drop, Raven harassment. What else is new? Eh? Oh, okay. It's like he's doing a combat shields push? What's going on here? It's a little odd to have combat shields first and then stim, but I guess he's thinking stalker harassment. So combat shields is a faster upgrade. Well, regardless, he's getting both. Nothing odd here. Third CC is on the way, and Hero did not go for any type of gateway pressure. He did go for 3 gateways, but 3 gateways is almost always accompanied by a Warp Prism and aggression with max packs, so that's just him. But really, 3 gateways, I would say originally, was supposed to be kind of like a defensive thing. If you thought the Terran was going to be aggressive in any way, shape, or form, 3 gateways would give you the appropriate amount of units necessary to defend. Or if they weren't doing anything, you'd go, oh, 150 minerals wasted, oh well, and then you'd not really warp in a whole lot. So Max Packs is kind of the outlier. Showtime is also now doing what Max Packs does, getting a Warp Prism almost every time he goes for any gateway opener. 2 gate, 3 gate, whatever. And Hero is grabbing a Warp Prism now, after getting some pretty fast charge. It is also going into Colossus and +1, so aside from the Warp Prism timing, actually very similar to today's Showtime's games. 3 base saturated. Clem gonna grab his 3rd under no pressure whatsoever. This cast got interesting when it got really violent. It's the state of the world that we're in. This is a really important topic that I will explain in this 15-minute video precisely and clearly and detailed. That doesn't sound that interesting. Did you guys know that this person fought this person and it ended in a bloody mess? Click here to know more. Oh my god, I gotta look at this one. Good defense here from Clem on the Warp Prism harassment. Perfectly timed Medivacs as well. Clem is moving out as his 3rd base is secured. Hero really not doing anything to contest that. And oh no! Ay. Well, that's very unfortunate. Warp Prism would be helpful. And the 2 Zealots that were in it. Tanks get the siege up. Auto turrets get planted. Wood mines protecting all of these units. Drop in the main base as well. Not terribly effective. Good defense here from Hero. But he's still losing on the front lines. Tanks will now be sieged in an even better location. Target firing those sentries. Getting rid of the Guardian Shield. We'll try and target fire the Colossus should they reach it. Yes, indeed. That's exactly what happens. Marauders on the front lines, tanking those shots while the Marines stay nice and comfy and safe behind it. They jump on top of it, given the opportunity. Tanks were left alone, though, actually. So it kind of looks like Clem was almost trying to bait the Colossus into the range, but in turn stopped protecting his own tanks. So good on Hero to notice that and get the Zealots on top of the tanks, take them out of the equation. Clem still, though, with an almost 50 supply lead. He's been here before. In fact, it wasn't this map, but it was a similar situation in which Hero was able to fight back and win. And clawed his way back. But this is pretty drastic. It would be quite the comeback for Hero. 4th CC on the way for Clem. About to finish... oh no, sorry. It's actually Hero who's about to finish his upgrade, but I'm not sure that's going to save him. A lot of army here. A lot of weakened bio army, to be fair. 2 Colossus could start to dig into the bio counts. The Viking number not high enough to really push those Colossus back, but I think Clem sees that he's very close to having a simply overwhelming number of bio units. And if they weren't injured, and if his Medivacs weren't out of energy, then he might have tried to concave on that. But you really do need to take into account the army health. Something I think a year ago, 6 months to 12 months ago, I feel like Terrans were actually not paying attention. Obviously, most professional Terrans aren't stim happy. They don't over-stim for the most part, but they get excited as well. So that's not usually the problem, but Max Packs especially was doing a great job kind of showing how powerful kind of pokes and prods were. Getting those Medivacs out of energy, getting the bio at 70% health, and then actually winning because of that. And I think, in turn, the Terrans have recognized that and been a little wiser about their engagements, or a little more hesitant when they are injured. And some Terrans are even getting faster Caduceus Reactor because of it. I mean, Kelazur is one of the ones that pops into my mind. Not that he's playing these open cups, but he's definitely one of the ones doing it. Could happen when we have a Fusion Core, but Clem's not quite there yet. He is on 4 bases, one of them now a planetary, so a Fusion Core should probably come down soon, just for the Liberator transition. Hero does survive, still behind, but he did keep all 4 bases intact, so not really as behind as you would think. Upgrades favoring our Protoss right now as well, although only for 6 more seconds. Clem trying to get this concave. Hero's army, it's pretty good. 3 Disruptors means that if 2 hit the Marauders, and they're all gone. Or it's Stim plus Colossus plus Disruptor, right? Then Marauders will die as well. 5th base on the way for Hero, almost completed. So continues to add on Disruptors. Clem not adding on any Liberators as of yet, but that would be the next step. And if he does it while also moving to Hero's side of the map, that'd be very difficult for Hero to dislodge. That is a very big drop. That is 4 medevacts going into the main base. Scans for the Observer, sees none. No defenses in the main either, and Hero is almost maxed out on supply, meaning that he cannot warp in. He will have to recall unless it is EMP'd. Could be the option. Clem, though, now paying attention to the main fight. Grabs the Colossus, which are in a very awkward space. Easy grab to the Vikings. And the Bio will just continue to run backwards and backwards, taking out those Zealots. Wow, the Bio in the main base demolishes the main Nexus. So we'll have the recall successful. Disruptors, oh my good lord. Thrown out every which way, and I think one barely tagged the Bio. 1 died before he got it shot off, and 2 went around the long way, didn't actually get close to the Bio. Hero does take a loss of supply during those engagements, but still on 5 bases, still hanging in there. Still at least working his way up to that +2 armor, but no second forge? Yeah, I think he's only working off 1 forge, so he will fall behind on those upgrades. Liberators are also now on the way. Finally, that Fusion Core, which will probably get that Lib range first, but then Caduceus Reactor, absolutely a good late game upgrade to have. Double-pronged attack working wonders. Nexus finally falls. It's taken 13 minutes, but it finally happened. Hero unsuccessful in the split of units. Some were still stuck in the main by the looks of things. Now jumping on top of this army. Not much the army can do, or well, actually, yes it can. Goes right into the main base. Hero having to focus on the other army. Stops chasing after the 2 medevacs, which you're going to find little bits more of damage. Clem has a 5th base, by the way. 6th base being built, already completed, in fact. It's an extra orbital. Another Nexus will fall. Still some decent mining to be had in the main, too, so that is a big loss. Certainly worth the medevac that was killed in the process. Clem almost maxed out. Hero struggling to get above 160. Finished his 2-2. Like Clem is about to finish his own 2-2 and has +3 already, almost halfway done. Disruptors not getting the shots that they really need. Hero almost entirely on a gateway army, which will be slaughtered by the increasingly powerful bio forces. EMP should hit these Zealots, and they will melt. Yes, indeed, especially as they're in a bit of a conga line. Drop into the natural, no auto turrets in the natural, killing probes. Drop could go back into the main when Clem determines that it's worth it. Right now, focusing entirely on the front lines. Liberator will not get a shot. Widowmine did go off. Not many Zealots left over. This is going to be a very fragile Protoss army in just 1 second. Disruptors they're out of shots. Actually, I'm surprised Hero's still here. Stalkers do not match up against Bio, even if they had better upgrades, honestly. Caduceus Reactor ended up being the first upgrade gotten, and I don't mind that at all. That might be the new meta. More Disruptors being rallied in, but also killed. This last one is not going to get a shot. Clem still almost maxed out. Hero now below 100 supply. Slowly dismantled over the last 2.5 minutes. He was in a okay position. Not great, but, you know, something could have happened that favored Hero. Nothing happened that favored Hero. Everything went to shit. And then into more shit, into more shit. The Kazoon-type reactor. Do the guys plan on actually sticking with a format, or is this like their plan for the weeklies is to have like a new map and a new format every time? I don't actually mind if that's the case. I think trying to experiment with formats and maps is totally fine. But I would like to know if that was their plan. Just to troll me. It actually was the exact same for the first 3 weeks that they did it, and then I started casting it too, and they were like, let's gaslight her. No! Alright, well. They went without me. This is fun. This is why open cups suck. This is why Wardy doesn't bother casting them anymore. It's not the reason I stopped casting them, but definitely not a fun part of them. Well, my patience has been tested enough. Ay, ay, ay. Alright, guys. I'm just gonna raid Roddy. He will cast the rest. I'm outies. I wasn't tilted, but now I'm tilted. Have fun watching the rest. I'll see you guys, not tomorrow, but Wednesday. I don't think we're gonna do Dungeons and Dragons. Cause, yeah, someone's having some troubles, I suppose, with the scheduling, but yeah. Gauntlet Wizard! Thank you for the 39 months. And I will see you guys on Wednesday. Bye.